like a boom. But yeah. So if you have a spawn like this, right? Back to tending ahead. If you have a spawn like this and you click, somebody comes up and you don't know if you ped them, and you, I don't know, you light this one on fire and this one on fire, right? If they bucket this one, don't relight this cade. Tend this one back here, because what it does, here I'll show you what it does. If this one's on fire or someone explodes this or something, if you click this one, you're already pre-queued and it'll just go off the second that this one dies, right? What that does is that they have to click and explode on this, then they have to go back to their inventory and click this. You can't do two actions in the same tick, so regardless of PID, they will never get to challenge you with PID to this next cade because you're tendering ahead. And you don't need PID to tender if you do anything like that. That's why lots of people, when they come up, they set their spawn like this. Some people, like if you don't set this front cade that I talked about earlier with the L, they set it like this because if you don't set this front cade, then you don't really need this second cade in the inside lane. And what you do is you light this one, and then if they bucket this one, you light this one, and they'll blow it up, and you'll tend it ahead like that and jump, and then they light this one, and then they step back. And this is another thing that you can't light cades like this. It doesn't work. You don't slide this way. You can either back up like this to light them, you can manually step over and light them like that, or the other way to do it is if you have a four-way set, you can click attack on these guys back here to do it, and it'll slide you back and forth. So you can go, if your mouse is over here, you can go attack. Like if you're over here, you can go attack, boom. I don't like that personally. I like to just step back and then go. But stepping back has its own difficulties because if they put a cade under them or someone has a cade over puts a cade over here, then you're fucked when you step back, right? So most people, that's another thing people do when they're switching lanes. So like they come up like this. Forgive me, I haven't cleared cades in a million years, but like cleared them with explodes. But they come up like this, right? Then they blow these two. Then they click to attack this guy, and they set one. Then they blow these two, and they keep going, right? So yeah, that's sliding on a four-way set. And if you notice that sliding on a four-way set, actually, I'll mention it now because it's important for bigger games. If you notice that sliding back and forth like this on a four-way set works, then you also know that, and you know that tending ahead works, then you also know that since I can pre-queue my action to attack these and slide back and forth, right, then that means I can attack ahead too. Meaning that if someone is like this and there's a cade here and they have to explode it and I click to ZGS them and they're on the other side and I just don't light this on fire, I'm guaranteed to ZGS him regardless of pit. I don't have to worry about my pathing backstepping me or fucking up or anything like that. That's helpful and it works for spears too in a bigger game. So like if you're a PK and you have a bucket for instance, if you light this cade, right? You light this cade and then your mage casts twice, you bucket it, then you make them blow it up, then you can light this one ahead. Or if you're on the other side, so like let's say that you lit this and you were standing over here and you had a spear and you bucket it, then you don't relight it, you just wait for him to blow it up and you click your spear on him. The instant he blows it up, you get spear priority on him and he always goes back to this square no matter what, regardless of pit. He doesn't run through your spear, nothing weird happens, there's no glitch. Um, and yeah, it's really nice actually. And there's other things on oh 07 that are unique to oh 07 because of the cades have a weird mask on them on oh 07 that they didn't have pre EUC, which you could do that are like, which I should show you probably. And they're basically, let's see here. They are basically like this. So if I have these cades, right, like this, again, we're not talking about the four-way set. We're just talking about in general things now. If I'm blowing these cades, right, the reason that it works when you go to blow cades like this and switch lanes so fast, when you go like this and then just like that, the reason that it works is because you're only one step back. You're only one diagonal step away from this cade. Once you blow this guy up, you're standing here, right? You're only one diagonal step away from this cade. So when I click to attack it or click to explode it, it hits it. But look what happens when I'm 3 steps back. So that's another thing, that these cades have weird masks, and cades can change things about stuff. So for instance, if I click to run around this cade, I don't know, this one, like, let's see, I do lots of stuff involving this in my cade tinding videos. See, it didn't work right there, and I thought it would because I didn't let my character stop here before clicking this. I clicked it when it was still back here, and then it slammed into this cade, and it looks stupid, right? Uh, Let me think. How am I going to show this? What's a good way to show it? Okay, so like if I'm over here, right, and I run around this cade, then I know that my character will run like that because it goes 2 squares at a time. And for some reason, the mask on the cades, this is a weird property of cades 107, it doesn't bolt you around the cade. It doesn't just like walk you here. It doesn't just like walk you to this square and then bolts you over like this. It runs you all the way around the long way. Kind of similar to like what I was talking about when you're like this and it runs you around the long way. I don't know why it does it for this, but it does run you around in that L shape anyways. And what you can use that for is like if there's a cade right here and you know that there's a guy coming up the stairs, right? You can't tin this. You can click here and then just double click and you have a 2 set, right? Like, and then you can light this one and then step off and then cast them, whatever. Another thing, yeah. Let me think. What's another thing? There's lots of stuff, but I'm just trying to think of what else I can do in this immediate moment. Um, oh yeah, you can tend. Since tending is like attacking, you can tend and do something else in the same tick. So like most things, you can only do one thing. Like you can only set a cade and light it. When you set a cade, it's one tick. When you light it, it's another tick. Most actions you can only do in one tick. But like if you have cades like this, right? My bad. If you have cades like let me think. Like this guy and this guy or something. Or like, actually, these are bad examples. Let me see. Well, at least this one is. The other examples were good. Um, if you have kids like here, let's see, like these two, right? If you click to light this one, then click to light this one, you can set one at the same time that you light it in the same tick. Because for some reason when some actions like attacking and tending, you can do multiple things in one tick, whereas for things where you're actually clicking with it, like a tinderbox on a cade or ground and then a cade, you can't do multiple things in one tick. You can tend and cade in one tick, and then when you slide, it's just tin cade boom, like that, stuff like that.